Yeah. They're not gonna ask you this. We'll say like, harvester, staff is worker, and then that's here. You've also.
Let me just ask.
It's really good that.
And historically, that's really what we've done, speaking about times that are probably more important, but, all the changes that we made in September. With the emergency. Separated apart. I see that. But all the features of that, we like 1970.
Agenda.
Yeah, no,
And now we got now to stop.
So that was always a flaw in this legislation. It was. Nobody wanted to do it, but everybody was several things that I never be able to pan out. We're not really.
So, all right.
When they saw. They were all charged at the same time. August. Like, it's that on my. And I think that's where we sort of get in the conversation.
I'm sorry, I am lousy on numbers right now.
And folks can make their way to their seats, please. We will be getting started momentarily.
I mean, well, they're not. Because, from a final perspective, like, the rest of it efficiently. But. They don't call it. It's the whole. It's actually. And, that's where I. I recognize the absolute privilege that I have.
Good evening, everyone. We are going to call the meeting to order. It is 6:12.
Good.
We want to thank everyone for coming out today physically at the Air District office. We also want to thank the Air District for opening up their doors and inviting us. And to get started, this meeting will be recorded, and then we do have English and Spanish recordings. We also have our interpreter in the back, and I know that she has some announcements on their interpretation services.
Yeah, hello. Hi,
Wait.
Good afternoon.
Please use the microphone. That way people online can hear you. We have one right over here. Yes, thank you.
Is it on? Yes.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Maria and Amelina over there on the table. We're Spanish interpreters, and if anybody needs Spanish interpretation, just come on over to our table and we'll be happy to help you. I can say it in Spanish too. Hola, me llamo María y mi compañera Melina. Somos intérpretes de español y estamos aquí para ayudarles. Si ustedes necesitan servicios de interpretación en este idioma, si lo necesitan, por favor, acudan aquí a la mesa y les daremos el equipo necesario para proveer este servicio. Gracias. Thank you.
And on the screen, we have some interpretation instructions for those of you who are online and you need help accessing an interpreter online. So if you are online and needing interpretation, you can see the instructions in Spanish in blue. There is a virtual interpreter who is interpreting me giving this instruction. And for those of you who are English only, you do not need to take any action here. But that service is there, show you need it, so please use it if needed. And Morgan already opened us up, but I will welcome you as well and say welcome. My name is Britta. I am the facilitator tonight. And we are really happy to be in this space in the Air District's office. I'll start by going over some meeting logistics. So we are in a different space. And so there's a little bit of a different setup here. The bathroom, there's numerous bathrooms, but the one that is easiest to get to is just down this hallway. There's a triangle sign on the door that's unlabeled, and that is the bathroom. There are additional restrooms out the opposite way, and the code for those restrooms is on a sticky note on the door.
12777.
0777, thank you, Arturo. So if you need those, feel free to use them at any time. There was food outside. I hope you are all nourishing yourselves. And if you're online, I hope that you're nourishing your body as well. Any other like venue specific reminders, Janice, that you want to tell folks about being here in this space besides where the bathrooms are?
If there is a emergency such as a fire or anything like that, please go ahead and head out the same doors that you guys came in and down the stairs and out to the front door. Not the window.
Yes, we are very good at listening to instructions, so we would do that should the opportunity arise, and we hope that it will not. So in terms of what else we're going to be doing today, we will do roll call shortly, and then we'll go over some community events. We don't have any action items today, but there will be a really robust presentation later, and then we will be breaking out into our groups for the last time during a steering committee meeting today. And if, as a reminder, if you are joining us online, you will not be able to access those breakout groups. So we will be closing the virtual meeting when it is time to break out into those breakout groups. And thank you for joining us online till that point, and then following that point, we'll be in person only. If we could go to the next slide, please. Just some quick in-person and virtual reminders. So for steering committee members, please make sure to use your name placard to know if you have a question or comment. That way I can make sure to pass it to you and call on you in a timely manner. If you're online, please use that raised hand feature, or feel free to throw your comments in the chat, and we will be monitoring that. So we will make sure to call on you or answer your question. For folks who are in person, who are not steering committee members, feel free to just raise your hand. Our order of operations is we do steering committee in person first, then steering committee online, and then members of the public. And we do have specific sections for public comment. So if you do have a question and it's not an appropriate time, we'll just ask that you politely sit on that question until it is time to do so. Virtual logistics, feel free to email the clerk if you have assistance, send them a direct message on Zoom, or just chat to everyone, that's fine. Please raise your hand, as I mentioned, and please state your name and affiliation if you're able to. That way we can know who we're hearing as a voice of God in this room coming at us virtually. So this is the Charter Code of Conduct. This is a reminder for everyone here. And by being here, we agree to follow the charter. I'm not going to read every bullet, but I will just remind folks that we treat everyone with courtesy and respect. We avoid interrupting others. And that's also a point for interpretation. If we're speaking and there's interruptions, the interpreters can't follow that train of thought. So please make sure to respect others' time on the floor. And we will try to get through this in a timely and succinct manner. That way you all can be out of here at a reasonable hour of 8 p.m. Okay, for our agenda, I already mentioned a lot of this, but I'll just point out that we have public comment tonight from 6:30 to 6:40, hopefully. That might get pushed a little bit, but we will have that time. And then, as I mentioned, we'll have the breakout groups, and then, which will be in person only, and then we will adjourn at 8 p.m.
Chris? Just to add on to that, at the end of, the steering committee meeting at 8 o'clock, this district, will be giving a, office tour, for steering committee members and for folks that we extended the invitation to. So please hang back, because I'll be giving that.
And those of you who already had your tour, I hope it was informative, and I look forward to hearing more about it. And on that note, that concludes our agenda, so we can go ahead and do some introductions and steering committee roll call. So I will ask Roberto to conduct roll call. Oh, I will ask Morgan to conduct roll call for the steering committee tonight.
Good evening again. Just want to call out, quorum is 7, and we have more than 7 steering committee members here present. As I call your name, if you can state that you were present or you were here. I do want to note that we have M. Swan here, one of our newest steering committee members here. He's not voting today, but he is here to observe and officially be onboarded.
Excuse mommy.
Bishop Chris Baker.
Here.
Vincent Valdez.
Here.
Stephanie Williams. Tito.
Here.
Jamala Green. Serena Rodriguez. Reina Moreno. Richard Falcone. Richard Lincoln. Ward Winchell.
Present.
Barry Boyd.
Boyd here.
Morgan Brown. Present. Lori Walker. Roberto Rizzo. James Allison.
Present.
Arturo Arroyo.
Present.
And then we have our Sacramento Metro Air District staff present as well, our CARB staff, again, our facilitators. And then we also have the presence of the city of Sacramento, the city of Elk Grove, and the county of Sacramento County.
So thanks for those introductions, and thanks to the members of the public who are here who did not yet introduce themselves. You will have an opportunity to do that during public comment if you have a public comment. Or now, you have a community event to share. So does anyone have any community events they'd like to share? Morgan, yeah, you can go first.
Good evening, everyone. Morgan Brown, co-lead of the steering committee, as well as the founder and executive director of Color the Block, the Youth Arts and Agriculture Organization. I want to highlight an event that we have coming up on July the 26th. It is our Parents Wellness Day and Social Wellness event. We will be planting 10 dwarf fruit trees on site, and we'll be piloting our tree giving program for the community. It'll be taking place at Rainbow Mini Park, graciously leased to us by Southgate Park and Rec District off of Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Thank you, Morgan. Any other community events? Yes, Adrian, please come make your way up to the microphone.
Thank you. Adrian Wren. I work for Valley Vision. We're a nonprofit here in Sacramento. We're doing a event this coming Wednesday, June 25th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. It's focused on digital equity within AB 617 communities. That's you guys, that's us. And we're gonna be raffling off some Chromebooks and just trying to integrate a new grant that our statewide partner, the California Emerging Technology Fund, got. with some of the work we're doing in South Sacramento. So I got flyers here. I'll pass them out. Hope to see some of you guys there. That's this Wednesday.
Thank you, Adrian. Anyone online with any community events to share? Yes, Navreet, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. This is Navreet Handal with Valley Vision, just echoing Adrian's statement. He sent an email to several people today and just announced it, but just echoing Wednesday's event. It's a new initiative. We're so excited to have it here, supporting the AB 617 community here in Sacramento. Again, it's focused on that digital literacy, so really helping households get connected to internet services, learning how to use devices. It's an 8-hour specialized training that we're hoping to provide all households kind of within the community, as well as even just help community members get enrolled and get that assistance on getting signed up for low-cost internet plans. So all these services will be free. So we're so excited to launch this project. Again, we'll be raffling 8 devices for residents at the event as well. Again, it's this Wednesday from 5:30 to 7 at the Oak Park Community Center. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you, Navreet. Okay, with those community events wrapped up, we can go ahead and move on to our second item, which is updates. So to start us off, I will invite Janice to provide an update on the outreach subcommittee, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm giving the outreach subcommittee update, even though there was a few of our steering committee members there as well as members of the public. So please jump in if you guys have anything to add as part of the discussion. So in the outreach subcommittee, there was 4 items that we discussed. One was we had a presentation from Valley Vision on their community air grant that they have received to support this outreach, to support the AB 617 steering committee. So they did receive a notice that they're going to be awarded that grant, and they're currently in the paperwork version in order to sign that agreement. Valley Vision is going to be coming back in July to be giving a short presentation on what their work plan looks like and how they are able to support the steering committee in the work that you guys have moving forward. Then the second item that we discussed was our outreach strategy, outreach strategies. The group was very productive last week, and they discussed and approved to move to the feasibility 3 strategies for 3 strategies. And they are promote air quality education in schools, outreach through traditional and social media, as well as build relationship with stakeholders and community members. The outreach committee has now developed 5 strategies that are going to be moving forward, and you guys will all be hearing about it in August. Okay. The next thing, does anybody have anything to add? Vincent, you want to add something?
I sure do.
Yeah.
Can I stand up for that? Okay, so yeah, we were at the outreach committee and we had 15 minutes to talk about outreach stuff at the end of the meeting, and this is what we talked about. Number 1 was an intern with Los Rios students. We would like the Air District to help us hire 2 interns from Los Rios Community College School District, and the discussion was $25 an hour up to 6 hours per week would be our, that would be $150 a week, $600 a month for the college students, up to $600 a month each for each college student. And we thought that was fair. What would they do? They would help us with social media, web updates, and outreach support. And so there's a lot that we need. We need a lot of help with all of our social media sites. We have all of them. We're not using any of them. And so this is where we need the help. And I think the students would be a big, lot better at it than I am, or I would be anyway. So that was one of them. Number 2, events coming up. National Night Out is August 5th. And we've invited the Air District to come out and join us, and we'd love to have steering committee members come out and table there. It's a large event at 26th and Franklin. Last year, there was about 1,000 people there, and so La Familia was out there giving out stuff, and the Franklin Neighborhood Association was, our business district was giving out school books, backpacks, and pens to the students, and that one was the draw to get so many people out there. So it'd be a great way for us to outreach the community and be there where people are. The second event was the Climate Justice Festival, which is gonna be September 21st at Cesar Chavez Park downtown, somewhere right around the corner here, I think. And it's gonna be, the time will be determined, but the date and the site are set. September 21st, Climate Justice Festival. And we also talked about having a Clean Air Day event at La Familia, September 28th or October 4th, in conjunction with the Clean Air Week or Clean Air event. So very similar to what we had last year, but we're gonna try to have one partnering with Valley Vision and, the steering committee, the Air District, La Familia, and a lot of other people there at, La Familia. We have a tabling supplies, bid we're working on. In the bid, it had 2 easy ups for $150, so I think you can find some really cheap easy ups on Amazon for $75, but they're not gonna cover you or protect you from the heat like the really nice ones, so we may, look at that again. I know the city has some really nice ones, and I was out at the park the other day with a really nice one in the 100-degree weather, and it was still hot, but the people that had the cheap ones were melting, and so that's just how it is. And so, the shirt update, we're working on shirts, polo shirts for everybody. If I could pass around a piece of paper and everybody can put their size, your name on it, and so. Okay, so we have that updated, and we're just gonna get some extra shirts as well. And so, last on our list was a budget restoration for the outreach committee, so we could replenish what we've used up to our $30,000 amount. So, these are the things we talked about, and thank you. I don't know, do we need to make a motion or a proposal for any of these items today?
No, so thank you for sharing some of that information. One of the things that we also talked about was like the purchasing logistics. So, there was a lot of questions with the steering committee. You guys had voted to approve the outreach materials. And we worked out that, Vincent was going to go ahead and do the purchase of them. And Morgan was going to do the purchase of the t-shirts, the polos t-shirts. And so we've communicated that with Macro Partnership already.
Any other outreach items, or does that wrap up and put us at district updates? Okay, and then just noting, we did start 10 minutes late, but that puts us 10 minutes behind. So if we could be succinct when possible, when providing these updates, that'd be great, because we're just taking away time from the breakout groups.
No district updates.
Okay, great. That was perfect. Okay, so then we can move on to administrative items. Roberto, if you could please talk about the approval of the meeting summary from June 2nd. I'll have you ask for a motion.
I'd like to propose a motion to pass the meeting summary from June 2nd. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Lori.
Perfect. So then you can do a roll call vote on that, please.
Let's do the vote now. Bishop Chris Baker.
Yes.
Stephanie Williams.
Yes.
Tito.
Yes, sir.
Richard Falcone. Here, Richard Lincoln is not here. Barry. Yes, sure. Roberto Rizzo, yes. James Allison.
Yes.
Arturo Arroyo.
Very ready to go.
Okay. Vincent Valdez.
Yes.
Lori Walker.
Yes.
Morgan Brown.
Abstain.
And I believe that's all, because you're not voting today, brother? Fantastic. Okay.
You have the total?
It was everyone.
Yeah.
And one.
I believe it was. Wait, I think it was 10. Anyways, it did pass. So thank you for that. And then with that done, we can now move on to new business and upcoming meeting topics. So I will pass it to Janice to go over upcoming office hours.
Right, we have upcoming virtual office hours this upcoming Thursday, so we are running out of time where we're gonna be wrapping up our strategy development. So, 6 o'clock, just a reminder for those who, if we did not get any attendance by 6:15, we're gonna be closing the virtual office hours. Next slide, please. Awesome. Vincent has a question.
Has anybody been attending the
It's,
The button. The other way, and then press the button. Again. You just it?
Hello? Has anybody been attending the virtual office hours the last few times?
No. So we did not have any, members of the public or steering committee to attend office hours.
Thank you.
All right, next slide, please. Okay, so here are our steering committee meeting dates, and location. So we do have our July meeting where we shared that La Familia was not available. And so we do have, to make a decision today on where we're gonna have it. We talked a little bit about having, a potential idea was, what is it? Flooring Creek, but we were not able to confirm today whether or not that date is still open. We are happy to continue to host it here at the Air District if folks would like. So, I think maybe we should just have a couple of minutes to talk about what people would prefer.
yeah, and I see, Bishop Chris Baker has his hand up first. Okay. I see. So, yeah, Bishop, if we could pass you the mic, and then I think Ward after that.
I will recommend that we continue having the meetings here. The space is available, the food, there's plenty of room. So I recommend the meetings here.
You guys could maybe use your.
Yeah.
Yeah, do y'all have your shape canvassing? I think we can have more discussion if people have more thoughts about where they think it should be held. We're definitely open to hearing those thoughts. We want to make a decision based off steering committee preferences. I see Morgan.
So this isn't necessarily a recommendation, but I guess it's just thought process for the entire committee as keeping into account, or if anybody has any thoughts on the convenience for them, like if it's, taking into consideration, was it convenient to get here, issues with parking, as far as traffic.
Yeah, does anyone care to share their experience, whether they thought it was easy or hard, or whether they'd want to have another meeting here in the future? I know we heard from Bishop Chris that he likes it here. Not opposed. I heard Stephen say not opposed.
Need a mic over there.
I can speak up,
Okay,
I think I make myself heard, it was fine driving here today.
Okay, we heard that it was fine driving here today. All right, yeah, we can do some canvassing if steering committee members feel okay, or you can use your green triangle. And Barry, I see that you have some thoughts. Let's get you a mic.
I'm sorry, I thought you had a question. Oh, no, sorry. Comment. Am I on?
Yes.
I would say, my opinion is that continue to have meetings more centrally located for the community, for accessibility, and for the, where the committee members are, we're gonna come to where the meeting is. But again, for the community that we service, we are beyond that boundary. So let's bring the meetings back to the community to which we serve. Thank you.
Yeah, important perspective. Thank you, Barry. Okay, so in hearing that, I think we can still go ahead and use our canvassing tools. And as a reminder, the yellow square means that you need more time to think about it, or you feel uncertain, you're not decided. Your red circle is against it being here. Green triangle is for it being here. And before we do that, I will honor Roberto.
Thank you. It's a question, we're just thinking for the next meeting? Okay, it's just for the next one. And that would be if we don't hear back from the venue that we're hoping to hire or to go to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the case, I think it's fine. But I agree with Barry, local, to where the boundaries are to make it easier for the people nearby.
And James? Please use the mic. Thank you, just for the people online.
Oh, look at that. I'll just agree with Barry's sentiment, obviously assuming that just this is for the one-time thing. I think this is a great opportunity for one meeting. If we can't find there's not a ton of, is it on?
No.
Now it's on. Is it on now?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna use this one instead because I recorded things.
There you go.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the sentiment that it should absolutely be held within the confines of the district that we're serving. That being said, I do understand the stress that can go into finding, there aren't many venue locations that are applicable for a group of what can be this size when we have our larger meetings. If we're looking at something where space is truly an issue within the boundaries, I think our office would be interested in potentially being able to help serve with that, but it is a significantly smaller space. So, the overflow will definitely not be as comfortable, but, I think for a one-time use, the Metro District is a great opportunity.
Thanks, James. And then Ward, I see your placard is up.
So if Lauren Creek is not available, we would have the Fletcher Farm Community Center probably also in the Florin area. So we should be able to work out something at one of the facilities.
Okay, it sounds like there's consensus around the fact that it should be held within the community, and that if the initial I forget the name, something Creek is not available. Thank you, Florin Creek, that's not available, then there are potentially other opportunities within Southgate Rec. Can I get a sign of your placards, whether you agree with my interpretation of that? Okay, I'm seeing agreement. Thank you. Okay, great. So, yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Morgan and Roberto to make an announcement.
Good evening, once again. My name is Morgan, co-lead for the steering committee. So a conversation came up between the co-leads and the district as we were discussing subcommittee and outreach meeting days of the week. We know that we have our steering committee meeting on a Monday, that next week we have subcommittee on a Tuesday, then the next week we have outreach on a Wednesday. And so for sake of, I'm sorry?
No.
Sorry. Sorry, Tito says sandwich is good. So for sake of trying to have a more in sync schedule and calendar planning for everyone, one of the recommendations that came up was having all of the meetings on the same day of the week, as opposed to Monday this week, Tuesday this week, Wednesday this week. So we wanted to open up the floor for any specific or particular thoughts that anyone may have had or any opposition to it. We don't have to make this a voting matter, but again, we just wanted to bring it up and get any thoughts or recommendations back from the steering committee as a whole.
Yeah, if anyone has any specific thoughts, James, we can start with you, and then we are short on time, so I'd say maybe just a few comments and then the placards. But James, feel free to go ahead.
More for just keeping something in mind. I know a lot of folks are here because they're here caring about showing up to a community meeting that is open. Tuesday nights being very difficult because those do tend to be, if a county meeting goes late, it's gonna be on a Tuesday evening, but a city council meeting is going to be every single Tuesday. I would imagine that there are a number of folks that are going to have to at one point or another make the decision on, am I going to participate in a steering committee meeting or a subcommittee meeting or participate in a city council meeting. But the idea of consistency, I think, is something that makes a tremendous amount of sense.
Thanks for those thoughts, James. Yeah, Barry?
Well, I made it easy.
Yeah.
I like the same sentiments as James.
It's on.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'll echo the same sentiments as James. Yes. Rotating days made the most sense. As we got into it, truly the subcommittee, the CERC subcommittee, it was just Vince and I from the inception, and we did CP Monday as well, but ended up, we decided one day, it wasn't the same day where we ended up, but having different days does allow folks who may work and don't want to miss, or be running late and or for whatever reason, the same day, 3 times a month. So by having it on separate days allows folks a better option to get here. And being that most of the steering committee doesn't show up to any of the subcommittee meetings, it's almost a moot point. It's pathetic, but it's the reality. Going into, I don't know if this is on the agenda, but I just made it. Folks need to show up or on the rail, dismiss yourself, let somebody come in, take your seat that will participate in what we are trying to accomplish. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. And I know that that was a point that was made at the last meeting. If you weren't there, feel free to read the meeting summary. Ward, is that a new placard or is that residual? You're all good. Just wanting to make sure that I call on you if you had thoughts. Any other steering committee members have thoughts on that, or can we do a placard on, whether you would be open to changing the dates? All right. Yeah, Vincent, let's get you a mic so you can ask that question.
Could we clarify what dates we're talking about? The
Monday.
fourth Monday of the month, the first Monday of the month, and the third Monday of the month?
Whatever the
First, third, and fourth.
Same weeks, just on Monday.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody knows it's the first, third, and fourth Monday of the month we're talking about. Thank you.
All right, steering committee members, let's see those markers. Great.
What does green mean?
Green means they're open to it being changed to Mondays. Or supportive of it being on Mondays. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up, and then I see a red, against, so just noting that it's not full consensus, but general majority passes. Okay, thank you for that. We can go ahead and, is there any other new business, just quickly?
There's another slide.
Oh, okay, great. There is new business.
Sorry, just go back one slide real quick. So just as a reminder, in August through December, we have secured La Familia as the location, for steering committee meetings. All right, next slide, please. So I wanted to share this strategy report out approval timeline before we get into the SERP discussion. And what I am really trying to emphasize here is that, you know, in July, August, through September, we are looking to have a report out from the urban planning and mobile and commercial team in the July steering committee meeting. Then in August, SERP subcommittee meeting is when the urban and after they've reported out, the next SERP subcommittee meeting is where is the last chance for that team to approve the strategies before it moves to feasibility. So after that meeting, there's going to be no more strategies that are going to be coming out. And then in August, we're going to have final outreach strategy discussion. And then in the August CSC meeting, we're going to have a report out from the residential team as well as the outreach team. And then in the September SERP subcommittee meeting, we're expecting any last chance for the residential team to approve any and all of your strategies before we get into a full feasibility discussion with the steering committee members. Okay.
Okay, and if you need to reference this again, steering committee members, it's in your PowerPoint update. Okay, so we can move on to public comments. Please see the public comment guidance on the screen if you have any. We will do in person and then online. So if you have a public comment, please raise your hand and I will call on you in the order that I see your hands raised. Any public comments? Not seeing any in person and no hands raised online. Thank you for that. So with public comment being closed, we can go ahead and move on to SERP team activities. And before we break out into our groups, we will have a presentation. And before the presentation, well, we did just go over the SERP schedule and timeline. So I will pass it to Paul, I believe. Yes, to come give this presentation.
It's just.
Thank you, Greta. Everyone, can you hear me okay? Fantastic. So, okay, so I'm Paul Tilley, I'm the program manager of the Transportation and Climate Change section. And I'm gonna try to make up some time. But tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about the community development process. You may notice a few extra faces from some of our jurisdictional folk here tonight. And that's because the planning process really impacts the community that we live in and breathe in and work in and play in. So in general, the way I like to. Maybe I don't want the clicker. The way I like to think about the development process is that it's how the political systems that we have and the economic systems that we have mix and mingle. And over time, that creates change to our physical environments and to our communities. So we can design lots of really great projects, but if they don't make sense economically, they don't get built. And then there's a lot of things that people want to build, but they don't make sense politically, or they're not zoned for those things, and so they can't happen. So you have to get approval from your jurisdiction. You have to have financing together. You have to have infrastructure to make it happen. And it takes a long time to get those things together. And then it also takes a long time for those things to get built and happen. And then that leads us to our new pieces and our new communities. So as we start to think about these pieces, if you want to build a project, a housing development, a factory, a warehouse, whatever you may want, you first ask, is the project allowed? And in general, these yellow areas are where housing is allowed. These pink areas are where commercial or warehouse is allowed. The blue areas is public or quasi. You've got some open space areas. You've got ag res. You've got Sac Sewer District. And so then do you control the land? You have to own it or have permission from the landowner to go get an entitlement so you can build. Can you get a loan for the project? Can you get the interest rates? Or is there people who know how to build it? Do you have sufficient workforce? Is there sufficient power grid available for your chargers that you want to put in? So all of and if any of those things is a no, it doesn't happen. So a lot of the work of this is trying to get everything green into yes. The other piece of this is when we do get an applicant, somebody who wants to build or make a change. What I like to say is that there's sort of two different processes in California when you're considering a project. There is the planning review process and the environmental review process. So a project gets routed. So somebody applies to the city of Elk Grove. They don't make copies anymore. I'm showing my age, but they send a copy to community development. They send a copy to planning, fire, police, air district, SMUD, PG&E. Well, everybody and their brother who could have anything to say gets a copy of this. And we check it against policies and codes. Can it be functioned and served? Can a fire truck get in there? Is there enough water pressure in the lines? All of those gets considered. And the jurisdiction will think about this from the sense of, is this a good land use? Does this fit with our vision for the community? Is there going to be too much noise? Those sorts of things. Of certain projects, we'll have to go through the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. Is anybody here not familiar with the term? Is everybody familiar with the term? Okay. So in general, projects that aren't exempt from CEQA have to go through a review on the environmental side. And so that's understanding what are the impacts or potential impacts of a project. Could it have an air quality impact? Could it have a noise impact? You determine the level of significance that that project may have. So not significant or less than significant, significant, unavoidable, and then you apply feasible mitigation. So it's more about how is this project changing the environment, making sure that everybody knows what those changes are going to be, and then trying to lessen those changes as much as possible. And it's a slightly different process than looking at a planning review, where it's like, is there sufficient foot candles of lighting for this parking lot? So both of those eventually come together, and you get all these different comments from all these different agencies. This is something I used to do. And you try to put it into a staff report and then finally a staff recommendation. What the staff member feels is the most appropriate environmental determination, what's the most appropriate conditions and design for the project. And this is also where your district staff works. So there's a section of Public Health and Safety Code that says that the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District shall represent the citizens of the Sacramento Metropolitan District in influencing the actions of public and private agencies who may have an adverse impact on air quality. I know, basically, we're supposed to represent y'all to make sure that when stuff happens, it doesn't hurt air quality. And so we have our land use and planning staff, and they review environmental documents. And when we have resources to planning projects to make sure that there are sufficient trees, that the construction equipment they use is clean, that the asbestos is not, being taken out of the building appropriately. And so there's all sorts of authorities that we use. And we're the only air district that has that specific exhortation from the state legislature. We're supposed to get all up in their business and say, hey, can we do it this way? So we are one of the many commenting agencies, and when we do it, we're basically kind of like a regular citizen. Anybody, the steering committee, anybody in the audience can comment on any of these projects and make requests on how you think the jurisdiction should do things. And so those comments are also taken. It's taken at the initial noticing, it's taken in the environmental process, it's taken in the public hearing process. And then all of that's bundled together, and then the decider decides and sort of chooses, and that can be different levels. Sometimes it is the planning director, sometimes it's a zoning administrator, sometimes it's a planning commission, sometimes it's the city council of board of supervisors, depending on the levels of permission that are needed. After that happens, if you need additional permits, you still have to go do those. So for example, a gas station, once you get permission to build a gas station wherever it may have been, you have to come to the air district. And then you have to get from us an authority to construct and a permit to operate, and we'll look at the gas that you're going to be pumping and the VOCs and the health risks associated with that and put limits on the gas station. And that's on top of whatever limits the jurisdiction may have put with respect to lighting or noise or where the cars are going to do things. If you're going to be serving hot dogs, you're probably going to need a health permit from the county. And then if you want to build it, you then also have to go to the local building department to make sure that you're building it as the jurisdiction approves the project. And these things tend to be a bit more ministerial, which is a way of, there's usually no big hearing to do these things. It's more of, the big hearing tends to happen back here. This stuff tends to be a bit more focused on just the issue. And it can turn into a big hearing, but it's almost always very, are you below the health risk levels? Okay, here's what you need to do. Here's your permit. Do your annual reporting. Good to go. So this is when I try to change it and it doesn't go.
Can you move to the next slide?
I mean, is it this way?
Stays. Oh.
Next slide, please. One would hope. Okay. Now, I had mentioned earlier that this takes a long time. And so you guys may be familiar with this. This is Highway 99. This is Cosumnes River Boulevard. This is Cosumnes River College. And this is the College Square development. This got sent as an application, like, I think it was around 2005. And it didn't actually start building until 2007. And the first thing that went in was like that Food Max. And, all the little shops over here. And then 2 years later in 2009, you get the affordable housing going in. And then you also get the park getting built in the library. And then nothing happened for a long time. Something happened in 2008 that just sort of really kind of stopped the building of things. Great recession. Yeah. So that was when I got my job here. Well, you don't need people reviewing plans at the city no more. But the next big thing that happened was the building of the Blue Line, the extension to Cosumnes River Boulevard, and Cosumnes River College. And after that went in, that's when you started getting all of this housing over here, and you got more restaurants going in. And the city also put in a water tower, which helps support new developments and new pressure and other things. So now this is what it looks like in 2025, where you've got the Quake Pack car wash is gone and you've got more development. It's starting to build out. And this was somebody's idea like 2 cycles ago, right? Before the pandemic, before the Great Recession. And we've still got a lot of stuff that hasn't yet gone in. So this is a 2-decade project and we're still not yet finished. So changing the physical environment, changing things takes time, but it's also how you make things ready for the future. So you've got, 475 homes that are within walking distance of 7 bus lines and the light rail station and the college. And you also have a bike path that takes you right to a park. So there's lots of pieces to this, and a lot of patience. And so making sure that you get the vision right way back here, so that when it does build out, you get something that you're happy with and is an asset to your community. So what I'd like to talk about a little bit, and then I'm going to be inviting our jurisdictional partners to come up and talk a little bit as well, is we want to make sure that the land use in these 3 jurisdictions in your community is in alignment with your goals, South Sac Clean Air, and the strategy that you're putting together. So making sure that we all agree on vision and principles. And then as time goes on, all of these plans have to be regularly updated. And so the jurisdiction will be talking about over the next 5 years, what plans are going to be due for comment and review. And then how can we as the Air District help you as a steering committee and a community get those plans, the things that would be most beneficial for South Sac Clean Air. And currently, even the South Sac general plan says that the county is going to consider general plan or zoning code amendments to support meeting the 8617 objectives. So we're already starting to get these pieces in, that there's at least collaboration and consideration. And so I want to thank them for being here today. And we're going to start off with, this looks like the county. Yeah. Yeah, come on up.
Come on up, and while we're there, just doing a quick time check, it is 7. So this is really important information. I want y'all to pay attention. And yeah, just noting though, like, let's try and keep it plain language. Let's keep it quick.
Thank you. I'm Steve Hawkins. I'm a senior planner with Sacramento County. What I'm going to talk about is partly what I'll talk about. It's the development review process. What is it? Why is it important? Why should you even care about it? What I'll say is what you're doing here is creating some big ideas on how to improve air quality. So one of the ways that you can actually implement those ideas and give them muscles is through the development review process. So specifically, I'm going to talk about the Sacramento County's development review process, but it's generally applicable to other jurisdictions. So first of all, in the review process, you're going to have your zoning entitlements, which means you're looking at 2 different things. Do I have to go to a hearing or not? Basically means a non-discretionary use is like an administrative permit. You want to run a short-term rental from your house, you need a permit for that. A temporary use, like maybe some temporary use in a parking lot outside of a shopping center. That's something very simple. A discretionary use is something that requires a hearing, most likely. It's got some impacts that need further review. It's not just a simple, you do this, and you're approved. It can be denied if the impacts that if the decision makers feel that the impacts cannot be adequately mitigated. The decision makers are going to be the zoning administrator, or the planning commission, or the board of supervisors, or in case of the cities, the elected officials, and I space it right now, but city council, that's what I mean. During this process, that's when you have the most opportunity for comment and public involvement. If there's a hearing, there's a notice that goes out, and people are invited to come in and give comment. The next step in the process, I'll back up first. You can see those 11 steps on the right-hand side there. Those are all the steps from beginning to end, from when you submit your zoning application to when you get your entitlement, to when it's actually approved. It can be a long process. The discretionary uses, like You know, like I was talking about the short-term rental permits. It can be done in a month or less. Some other things, especially if it's controversial, could take, well, at least a year, maybe two. It's not, if it's controversial, it's not usually very quick. Once you get your entitlement, you say, I want to put in this use, a grocery store, let's say. I can do that now. That's my entitlement. What's the next step? How is it going to be served? That's your site improvement plan. Your civil improvements, basically, where do all your utilities go? Where's your curb cuts? Things of that nature. The next step, your building permit. Actually, this is my store. I'm going to build it. Yeah, I don't think I need any more explanation on that. I want to stop there just for a second. Is there any quick questions?
You have a printout of that, 'cause it's hard to see what that is from 1 to 11.
Yeah, so this particular slide was added, I think, just a few minutes before the meeting started. So we'll have this in the updated packet that'll be posted online. So you won't have it actually in your packet.
Thank you.
The final thing I want to say is that Paul talked about CEQA. Yes, that is generally a separate process. It has its own process. For purposes of our discussion, you can think of that as occurring during number one, during the entitlement process. There's exceptions, but you can just think of it as during that first phase. So that is how you can see your ideas implemented on the ground.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.
Right, thanks, Steve. So here's another county slide. There's a lot on this slide and a lot of words. I'll make it really snappy. So the first, the main thing to really consider here is upcoming planning efforts within the county. The county is doing a lot. And these are actually just a few of the projects that are specifically triangulated on South Sacramento. The first of which is Stockton Boulevard Special Planning Area. People aren't familiar with the special planning area in the county context. It's you have your zoning, your regular zoning, and then you have like your regular, additional regulations within these special planning areas that are meant to solve a particular issue or try to highlight something that needs to be developed within the next few years or next decade. So the Stockton Boulevard Special Planning Area is in need of an update, and so we're currently in that update process. We're not in the middle of the outreach portion of that yet, but we just want to put that on your radar. And it's just focused on 3 key areas along Stockton Boulevard and South Sacramento, and it's a joint process between the county and the city because you have 3 areas that are like they kind of switch back and forth. Next is Stockton Boulevard Complete Streets. So SAC DOT or Sacramento County Department of Transportation is doing installation of Class 4 protected bikeways between Florida Road and Elsie Avenue. And there are 2 different alternatives, a 1-way bike lane or a 2-way bike path. And then next is something that my team is working on regarding the Pro Housing Grant Project. So we just applied for a grant and won the grant, but that is a federal funding grant. And which we'll be utilizing to focus on expanding housing opportunities in underserved areas, many of which are in Stockton Boulevard, and also concurrently working within the SPA as well. And then lastly on this list is we're currently seeking assistance from ULI through their TAP program, in which we are working also again co-working with the city of Sacramento on trying to reduce urban heat island and trying to strategize on ways to reduce heat either through tree canopies or infrastructure, or new infrastructure within new development. And one of the focus areas is in South Sacramento. Focuses on urban forestry, built environment for new and existing developments. And then other countywide efforts, again, we still have a lot going on is our new climate action plan that we released in 2024. We have a housing element implementation tying back to the residential topic that we talk about during our breakout groups. And then we also have ongoing implementation for the environmental justice element, which South Sacramento is a big part of. I do want to talk about a few stuff that our staff wanted me to discuss. Other outreach opportunities that you can do consistently is actually sign up for our community planning advisory committees or CPACs. Thank you. So give it up for Kathy. And so the way you can do that is you can navigate to our, you can just literally search CPAC on Google or South Sacramento CPAC. It can take you to, this is essentially the first page that it'll take you to. You can click on subscribe to South Sacramento CPAC meetings. And when you do that, would you mind clicking on that for us actually, just to see what it does? So it'll take you to that pop-up and you can put in your email and then you can actually do, so you can actually sign up for notifications. So what the CPACs do is like give any sort of advisory recommendations on projects that are happening in the area. And also we're doing, so I earlier talked about SPAs, and there's an update project on both SPAs and neighborhood preservation areas. So basically regulations that try to keep it whatever is special about a neighborhood special. And there are 15 of those going on right now. There's a review of all MPAs, planned developments and SPAs in South Sacramento with the goals of reducing barriers along the Stockton Boulevard corridor, which you mentioned earlier. And then with the focus on the areas between Stockton Boulevard, between Meter Avenue and Florida Creek. So that's near Plantation Boulevard Park and former Southside Rentals. And then Stockton Boulevard near the intersection of Stevenson Avenue between CarMax and Costco along Highway 99. And then another task is to rescind SPAs, neighborhood preservation areas and planned developments that have already fulfilled their purpose and rezoning them to base zoning designation. So they'll be pretty much absorbed into our zoning. And so to stay informed of all this, you can also, again, navigate to that government delivery and select development code updates in progress. So that's really it.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
The Stockton Boulevard,
Can you use the mic in front of you?
sorry about that. I think we're out of juice.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
These, things, the Stockton Boulevard, either single lane, bike lane, will just run parallel with the street, not parallel, but as a part of the street, versus the 2-lane bike trail. Will that be a separation of street and trail? Or the way you, whatever the way.
Before you answer that, just Janice really quick.
That is a really great question, Mary, and I'm going to divert that if it's okay, because we are running a little close on time because of the specifics, so that we can break up into groups and work on the strategies. We have a couple of other jurisdictions that's going to be reporting out on the current efforts, but we will hold that question and we'll get back.
You could have answered it by now.
We can also talk later, Barry.
All right.
So I am Nguyen with the City of Sacramento's Long Range Planning section. I just have one slide. I'll try to keep it quick. This slide, we want to communicate to you all some upcoming major projects that our Long Range Planning team is working on, as well as the time frame for when we would expect engagement to happen. A lot of these projects are early in the planning process, and so we don't have specific dates or specific formats for engagement. We just want to put this on your radar so that you can keep your eye out. Check out our website. And so, yeah, I'll kind of summarize these sort of 4 major projects here. So the very first one is under the category of environmental justice, or EJ. I think this one is probably most relevant to your group around air quality. So with this one, we are currently seeking a consultant team to look at which communities in the city of Sacramento are located near industrial areas. And what the city can do in terms of our zoning regulations, to better regulate new development or expansions of existing industrial uses near residential. That could include things like tree planting, parking lot shading, using vegetation as buffer, controlling where trucks enter in and out of a site. So that's, there's still a lot of details to sort out, but we are very early in the process. We are expecting to get more information and to be further along and be ready for engagement with the public by next spring. That's our goal at the moment. And then the next category is land use planning. We are working on a major amendments to our planning and development code, Title 17. That actually should say 2026. So by spring or summer of next year, we are expecting to do major engagement on this effort. One of the major things that we're working on under Title 17 is consolidating our residential zones. That may sound, not very exciting, but for a planner, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's very rare that jurisdiction, does an overhaul of their zoning code. And so this is a phase one of many other amendments. But we are currently focused on housing. So we are trying to streamline, simplify, and create more flexibility in the way we zone and regulate our residential uses. So that's happening. And then the next one is the citywide rezone program, which also we are currently working on very early in the process. We are expecting to come back to the community by next spring or summer with more information. This one is a follow-up action from the 2040 general plan update that was adopted by the city council March of last year. We are going to be rezoning parcels that are currently sort of considered inconsistent or not ideal, and doesn't currently match the new general plan. So that's happening. And this one may be of particular interest, especially for folks who live near, or own property in the city of Sacramento, near industrial uses or industrial areas where you might want to see something different or new zones being used. This might be a good opportunity to express your viewpoint. So please stay tuned for that. And then the very last one, Nathan sort of mentioned this, but under climate action, we are working with the County of Sacramento and the Urban Land Institute, or ULI for short, to come up with a report on how we can, as Nathan said, reduce our heat island effect through various strategies around our urban environment to really prepare for, the upcoming heat waves that are coming, that we know are coming. So that one is actually the most, I guess, the one that will be happening the soonest. So in September of this year, ULI will be gathering a group of, I think a focus group of folks from the community, from different agencies to really talk about how we could strategize on reducing the heat island effect. So if you're interested, please let me or Nathan know after the meeting, and we'll get you hooked up. Well, that's it. Thank you.
And then one more, City of Elk Grove.
I'm gonna try and be faster than both of those guys. I'm Carrie Whitlock. I work with the City of Elk Grove. So we have a couple of things here that are going on that would be of interest because it includes the AB 617 boundaries within the city. So our Climate Compass is an update to our climate action plan. We are doing that now. It will go out as a public draft on Thursday this week. So we're very excited about that. It will be available for 45 days for public review, and we would be happy to get lots of comments on that. So that will be up on our website then. We are also doing a heat resilient transportation system implementation plan. That is funded through Caltrans. We are currently looking at consultants for that, and it will kick off in September, and it'll be probably a 2-year process to develop that plan and really look at how can we address urban heat island within the city of Elk Grove, on our streets, our bikeways, our trails, our pedestrian infrastructure, all of that. We are doing an update to our open space element of our general plan. That will be out for public comment as well. That'll be July, August, September. It'll go to Planning Commission and City Council. Kaylee in the back of the room there, our transportation person, has been looking at the blue line. She's been working with SAC-RT on a Blue Line or Bus Rapid Transit extension down to Elk Grove. So from CRC, looking at moving that, extending that rail line down, and that's been going on and will continue through April. So there will be a lot of opportunities for public comment on that as well during this next couple of months. Next year, we have two big things that we will be kicking off. One is a comprehensive update to our bicycle pedestrian trails master plan. So really looking at how do we provide safe, accessible alternatives to driving within the community. How do we build out our network better to be able to provide those different options for individuals? So we'd really like a lot of public comment on that. And then we are also going to be kicking up a comprehensive building electrification strategy. So really looking at our existing buildings in Elk Grove and how do we work on reducing emissions from those buildings and what does that look like? What are those strategies that we can put in place to do that? So those will also, both of those will involve a lot of public comment over the 2-year period that they're going to be developed. Was I faster? Did somebody kind of?
You were quicker.
I think one big takeaway is that there is a lot of planning that's gonna be happening in the next 5 years. And it takes a lot, I've got people who work on this 40 hours a week and I don't expect you to do it either. So that's why I really wanna make sure that as we put together our land use strategy, that we really understand what your priorities are, what your goals are, and that we get you involved at the level you want to be involved with. So hopefully in the breakout group, we can sort of establish what the planning goals are going to be for this area. And then our district staff can help you participate and comment upon the stuff that you care about and want to be more directly involved with. And then there are some community groups that just say, hey, county, send me everything that's happening in my neighborhood, and actually have, it's like, okay, you read the air quality, you read the land use, you read the traffic. That takes a lot of time. But if you guys want to go to that level, we absolutely can. So I think I need to stop talking so that Janice can continue and move on with the meeting. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And thank you to our local partners who have been involved in this process and who gave us those excellent presentations. Janice, on to you.
All right, thank you everyone for all that information. It was a lot, but very, I think, very fruitful and informative. So our next, what we're gonna be doing is what we've been doing the last 2 steering committee meetings, is breaking up into our team discussions. This month is going to be a little bit different because we're gonna have the urban planning and the mobile and the commercial team in this room. And then we're gonna have the residential team in the room.
In the alcove.
And that was because, when our team debriefed about what was discussed at each of these meetings, there were similar ideas, that were converging our concerns and outlook. Some of it was about idling, some of it was, about land use. So we're gonna be talking about those ideas, in the urban planning and mobile and commercial teams in this room. With that, I'm also gonna stop talking. Oh, sorry. David reminded me. CARB also printed out their community air protection incentive program guidelines. And so, Jeremy had brought over probably like 20 copies or so. And if you would like one that gets into all the nuances on what can be done, can't be done, all the guidelines for that, it's located here in this book.
Where do we?
Right there, he's passing it up.
So how many people have read that, do you think?
I just released it,
I know.
so I'm sure a lot of people, maybe not community members.
Okay, and as these are being distributed, we're getting ready to go into our breakout groups. Members of the public who are here, you're welcome to join whichever breakout group you'd like or hop between both. And on that note, we will be closing our online session so we can end the recording. And we'll be splitting up into groups. We will come back just to do our closing clap at the end. And we will give folks 2 minutes to get settled into their group. So as a reminder, if you're anyone that's not residential, you'll be staying in this room. Residential, you'll be following me to the alcove.
2 minutes.
Yeah, we're not going
So where are we going?
You're here.
No, Roberto's is me.
Residential